Hi, I'm Wayne Turmel, and along with Kevin Eikenberry, I'm the co-author of The Long Distance Leader, Rules for Remarkable Remote Leadership. And in this video, we're going to talk about two models that matter to long-distance leaders. You know, in writing The Long Distance Leader, we tried to come up with visual representations that answer the question, why does leading remotely feel like such a challenge? And we came up with two that we're going to examine over the next couple of videos. But the first one essentially answers the question, why does this feel different? We call it the three-gear model. And as you can see, there are three interlocking gears that are working together to make the work happen. The biggest one, the largest gear, is the leadership and management behaviors. And ironically, that's the one that's changed the least. If we think about the role of the leader, what do you have to do? You coach, you create a vision, you delegate, you manage performance, you do all those things. Well, you still do all those things, even when we're remote. So the idea, the what do we have to do, really hasn't changed very much. We have to exhibit all the leadership behaviors we've always needed. The second gear is where things get interesting. That's where we need to use technology, and it's important that we use the right tool for the right job. We're being asked to do the things we've always been asked to do, but we're doing them in ways that we've never had to do it before. The guy who built the pyramids wasn't trying to flog people by email. So we're using technology to communicate in ways that some of us aren't comfortable with. We may not be using the right tool for the right job. If you are an introvert, for example, who likes to avoid difficult conversations, it might be easier to send an email than it is to get on the phone or get on a plane and actually talk to that person voice to voice or face to face. So understanding how technology impacts us is really critical to the role. As we said, the what we do hasn't changed, but how we do it has changed fundamentally. And then there's the third gear, which is we've got these tools, but are we using them well? We must leverage technology fully. Having tools at our disposal and not using them isn't helpful. And the fact is that 80% of people use 20% of the features of most technology. So that's our first model, what we call the three-gear model, which is, why does this feel so different? Our second model, the 3-0 model, is really about what should we be focusing on and what should we be thinking about in our roles as leaders. And the 3 O's are very simple. We should be focused on outcomes. Do we understand what needs to happen, the work that needs to be done? What is the end result of what we're doing? We need to be very clear on that, particularly in a remote environment where you can't always check somebody's face to make sure they understand what you're talking about. And that leads us to the second O, which is engaging others. We can set those expectations, but as leaders, we need to get that work done through other people. This is where understanding how to communicate in a remote environment becomes really critical. How are we going to coach? How are we going to communicate? How are we going to set expectations? And how are we going to interact and create good working relationships with others? And then there's the third O, understanding ourselves. You know, as leaders, it's not about us, but it doesn't happen without us. So these two models are really important for us to understand, why does leading remotely feel so different? How can we approach remote leadership without feeling stressed and like the ground isn't firm underneath our feet? And they're really designed to guide your discussions and your thinking as you go through the rest of the book.